Hey everybody, welcome to the first edition of Book Brag. I am Wendy Walker and I'm here with co-host Lynne Constantine of the Live Constantine writing duo, and we are welcoming our first guest, Don Bentley. So Don Bentley is the author of the Matt Drake thriller series, including Without Sanction, The Outside Man, and 2 forthcoming titles, as well as the co-author of Target Acquired, a Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan Jr. novel. Don spent a decade as an Army Apache helicopter pilot, including a combat deployment to Afghanistan as an air cavalry troop commander. Following his time in the military, Don worked as an FBI special agent and was a special weapons and tactics SWAT team member. His book, The Outside Man, is out today. Do you want to hold it up?
Yes. And I'd like to point out, thank you, Matt's incredible triceps right there. Like, I've been working for those my entire life, cannot get them, but he's got them. It's amazing.
Great cover. Great cover. Well,
thank you.
We're just happy to have you here. And to get started, do you want to just give us a little bit about the book in a few sentences?
Sure. And thank you so much for having me, guys, especially on short notice and being your first guest. So I will try not to mess this up for you guys for further guests. So my book, The Outside Man, is about Matt Drake, who is a clandestine operative for the Defense Intelligence Agency. And like most of those folks, he does all his work overseas and under a legend. And that legend is his protection, his anonymity. And in The Outside Man, we see what happens when he loses that protection and trouble follows him home back to Austin.
Oh, wow, that is awesome.
I said that 8 times in the mirror. I hope that was good. I don't even know.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about where the idea came from?
Yeah, so I have a lot of crazy things on my resume that you were very kind to mention, Wendy, but what it really means is I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so I did a lot of different things and I got to meet a lot of interesting people. And so when I was an FBI agent, I got to rub shoulders with folks like Matt Drake. And they kind of told me stories of what it was like to be overseas and then what a big, deep breath of relief they took once they crossed over the ocean and walked back onto their home soil. And so that always had me thinking, what if what happened over there actually followed you back over here? And suddenly those two worlds that you tried to keep secret your entire career collided and had pretty devastating effects.
Wow. Sounds like something I want to see on the screen. Sounds really good. So I'm sure you do a lot of research, even though you've got a lot of experience firsthand.
Sure.
But was there anything interesting that you learned while you were writing the book?
Yeah, so I did. There's a portion of the book that deals with sex trafficking because a lot of Americans, I watched, the rise of ISIS and what was happening in Iraq and Syria, and specifically to some of the minority groups there, like the Yazidis. And as Americans, you had that you could look at it and see it on TV and say, hey, that's horrific. But you also had a healthy sense of distance too, right? And there is a book that I read as part of this called The Last Girl that's actually by a woman who was a Yazidi who was sex trafficked by ISIS. And it kind of took that comfortable distance that I had with that subject matter and just tore it apart. And so, she writes this incredibly brave memoir that talks about her experience. And while it was a smaller part of my book, it was an intensely moving her account and intensely shaping, I think, for me to read about it.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So it's time to brag a little bit. Do you have a review that is one of your favorites that you can share with us?
I do. What I love, I'm one of those crazy people that actually goes in and reads all my good reads reviews and all my Amazon reviews. And the ones that I like the most, honestly, are the folks who say, I don't normally read this genre, but somebody gave me your book and I did it and it changed my mind about it, or I really liked it. And so there's a girl named Nathalie, and she said, I read Without Sanction, the first book in the Matt Drake series last summer after a recommendation from a friend. I don't usually read military fiction, but decided to give it a try. I loved it and was very much looking forward to the next one in the series. Lucky for me, The Outside Man is even better. And so that was a super cool one for me.
Great. It's nerve-wracking writing that second in the series,
my gosh.
isn't it? Right?
It is. It is. You know what? And that's the funny part about it too, right? Because you write the first book. I don't know y'all's pre-publishing history, but I wrote 3 books that didn't sell. And so by the time I'm writing the 4th that actually does, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is anybody even going to read this or not? And that's kind of can be demoralizing, but kind of you don't really realize at the time helpful, because then when you write the second book, you know people are going to read it, right? And you've already had reviews from people who read your other one. And so it's good to get that, but it can be, at least for me, I'd love to hear what you guys think. It was a different feeling writing a book that you knew for sure people were going to read. And it honestly, I had to figure out a little bit how to get out of my own head during the first draft, because I kept feeling, that pressure. Holy crap, somebody's actually going to read this one. It's not going to sit in the trunk in my desk drawer. So for sure.
Yeah, I think the reader expectation is, it's a definite pressure. I mean, it's an exciting thing and it's a great thing to know, but you also know you have to live up to, especially if you've had a book that was successful following up. So whether it's your standalone that did well, and then people, obviously you can't rate the same book, but they want the same kind, right? Or in a series. I know, same thing when I wrote The Network and then The Silent Conspiracy, and I kept thinking, I don't want this to be boring or people to be like, ugh, what happened? And so I agree, like when you see a review that says, not that you want to diss your first one, but when they say it's even better, it is very heartening, because you feel, okay, I did my job. I'm
not
a one-hit wonder, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, I think, when you have reader reviews from a book and what people like about your work, and you want to make sure you give that to them with the next book. And so, I'm constantly reading, like, am I doing that again? Because I like that. They like me. Yay. I want them to keep liking me. And Lynne.
All right, so now we're going to take a break into fantasy land. And so if you had to be one of the characters in your book, and maybe we should exclude the main character, but we won't, but who would it be and why?
Well, I'm glad you didn't exclude the main character. I think that's what, I've talked before, or folks have asked me, what draws men more to these series of books, or why is the proportion of male readership higher? And I think it's because you can read that book and you want to be that protagonist, right? So whether it's the cool thing he does, the fact that he's wittier than you are, any of those things, you project yourself onto that protagonist and you get to be them for the length of the book. And so I would, for sure, when I was doing press for Without Sanction, there was one of the interviewers said, hey, are you Matt Drake? And I'm like, I am definitely not Matt Drake, but I've stood in the room with him before. And that's the kind of cool thing, is when you see the person who your protagonist is kind of based on, and then when you're reading the book, you get to be that person for a while. And so I would for sure be Matt Drake if I could, I think, at least for the length of the book. He gets beat up pretty bad, so maybe not, I don't know.
So hopefully not. Okay. So now we're going to our little lightning round, and we're just going to ask you some easy yes or no questions, right?
I don't believe you. These are going to be easy, but okay.
I think so. We'll start with very easy. Cat or dog?
Dog, definitely dog.
Okay.
We have my daughter has a cat, and it is the world's loudest, most vocal cat. My dog just hangs out and doesn't say anything. So.
I love. Okay, don't let the cat hear you.
Same here. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate, and not just any chocolate. Bluebell chocolate, which, if y'all haven't been to Texas, is a Texas ice cream and is the best in the world.
Oh, we'll have to try that next time we're touring in Texas, if we ever are again. Right. Comedy or drama?
Drama for sure.
I'd say so too.
Truck or car?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like having a truck around, but I like driving a car every day.
Okay. All right. Wine or beer?
Beer. Definitely beer. And that may be just because I'm not smart enough to be able to pick the right wine. When were stationed in Germany, they would have little wine parties where they would bring all the different bottles, and you just got to say bottle number 5. So maybe if I had somebody smart enough, it would be wine, but for now it's beer.
Okay. So beach or mountains?
I'm going to have to say beach. There's something about just kind of sitting on a beach with a good book that I love.
I would agree. Bookmark or dog ear?
Bookmark, but I use the term bookmark loosely. Like this has been a bookmark with a little coffee stain and everything. That's my kind of bookmark.
Yeah, it doesn't mess the book up.
Got it. If I had that, it would have a coffee stain around it. But coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee. Lots of coffee.
Same.
Same.
Rock or country?
Country. I live obviously in Texas, and there's a great newer country singer named Parker McCullum who also lives here in Austin, and he's fantastic. We've seen him a couple times.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And the last question: book genre, fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction. I wish I was sophisticated enough to say nonfiction, but I just love this. And there are obviously some great nonfiction writers that can tell stories, and probably the best nonfictions book are, but I'm just unabashedly a fiction guy.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I love fiction as well if I had to just pick one, and mostly mine, I do like some nonfiction, but predominantly my bookshelf's fiction. Same with you, Wendy, or?
Yeah, same with me. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. So The Outside Man is out today, available everywhere books are sold. So run out and get it. And you can connect with Don on Twitter and Facebook and on his website at, what's your website URL?
DonBentleyBooks.com.
Very good. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you, guys. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll see you soon, everybody.